Hey there, everybody. What's going on? This is Peter Fenton here. I am just recording this quick little tag at the beginning of our episode to correct myself because I say it wrong in the recording. Jamie Hitt's release date for The Things Friendship Brings was, in fact, April 6th, 2021, Tuesday. Go order your copy of The Things Friendship Brings. It is, in fact, out today, and I will say it wrong when we get to it on the recording. Thanks. Enjoy the episode. Read, Right, and Wrong is brought to you by the team at City Limits Publishing. City Limits Publishing is a small, independent press created by authors for authors. You can best support the podcast by heading over to citylimitspublishing.com to browse our ever-expanding library featuring unique reading experiences in all genres. Sign up for the City Limits Publishing Book Club and get one new release of your choice delivered every month alongside a curated classic book. Learn all about this and more at citylimitspublishing.com. In the meantime, let's get right into today's episode. Hey there, everybody. What's going on? This is Read, Right, and Wrong, the in-house author chat show at City Limits Publishing, where we discuss everything we've read, what we're writing, and what's wrong with it all. I'm your host, Peter Fenton, and today we're talking all things children's books with Jamie Hitt, whose new book, The Things Friendship Brings, will release on April 8th. Jamie, welcome.
Hi, Peter. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's nice to finally talk to you.
Yeah. You and I are both very active on social media, so we've sort of developed a friendly relationship with our author profiles.
Yeah, but here we are finally getting to talk live.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. So my favorite first question to ask my guests, tell me a little bit about yourself. So you were telling me right before we started recording that you're based just outside LA, sort of?
Yeah. I'm in Southern California, probably about an hour or so outside of Los Angeles on a good traffic day. And I was actually born and raised here and met my husband in high school, that kind of a story. And we stayed together when I went away to school. Well, I say went away to school, but like literally Los Angeles is where I went away to school.
Yeah.
And then we got married, and I always have envied people who knew what they wanted to do right out of school, or even, out of high school, out of college. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I graduated college and everybody had just said, study whatever interests you and you'll find out what you want to do. And I had no idea. So
What did you study?
I studied political science, which it was very interesting at the time, although now it's kind of nauseating.
Yeah.
Given our current political system.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in that anymore.
No. Yeah.
I like a good political debate, but that's not really possible anymore.
I feel like a good faith conversation between people who don't agree.
It's hard to find. Yeah.
It's hard to find.
Yeah. So that, that ship sailed and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And so I got a random job out of college at a mortgage company, and it was, it was a good job. It was solid, but just didn't really ever feel like that's what I was supposed to do. And I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And I thought, well, I'm going to go back to school.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know what for. And so I was looking at classes, and I could get my MBA, but the list of MBA classes kind of bored me, just looking at the titles of them. And then I found this program at Mount St. Mary's University in Los Angeles that was a humanities program, and it was literature, and it was history, and it was cultural studies and philosophy and creative writing. And I don't even know why. I just thought, I have to do this. This sounds so good to me. So I just went for it. People kept saying, what are you going to do with that? I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm going to do it. And it was wonderful. And I discovered that, I wanted to write. That's what I decided I wanted to do. It was a thing that had kind of been planted in me from a young age. I always liked to read. I always liked to write. But it just kind of, you sort of lose track of that sometimes in life. So I just decided that's what I wanted to do. And so when I started having kids, I decided to stay home with them. My husband, who is very wonderful and supportive, helped me make that happen. And I
Cool.
started writing.
Yeah.
And I've written some children's chapter books. I wrote a young adult novel.
Wow.
And then I got this one and I'm getting published. And I'm thinking maybe all those student loans paid off after all.
Right.
I mean, we'll see. Hopefully you like it. Hopefully people like it. But
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. I mean, the illustrations are pretty.
Thank you.
You do those yourself, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. Um, I am self-taught, as Moana would say. I don't know if you ever saw that movie, but
Wow. Yeah.
I've taken some art classes, but a lot of that I watched videos on YouTube on how to draw and did a lot of that myself, just figuring out how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're really cool. I mean, I saw you tweeted the other week at the time that this podcast is recording, you had drawn, I think it was a squirrel of some sort,
Mhm.
right?
I did do some squirrels, yeah, on Valentine's Day.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, go follow Jamie on Twitter. You'll see some of her illustrations. She
Instagram, you'll probably see more of my illustrations, but yeah.
Right. Great. So why don't we transition into the first of our three main segments? So we've got our very first segment, which is recent readings. So Jamie, you've written a children's book, of course, that is being published with us. But what do you like to read? I mean, I'm sure that you do a bit of reading with your kids.
We do a lot of reading with my kids, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna make a joke about how I read like 2 books last night because I read Good Night Construction Site and Little Blue Truck. So very, very big reader, reading 2 books in one night.
Yeah. Wow. Look
Very
at you.
impressive, I know. But I do read to my kids a lot. We read a lot of books, picture books. I read chapter books with my daughter. But I do read some grown-up books too.
Right.
I just finished reading The Blood of the Forgotten.
Oh yeah, by J.M. Cavender.
Yeah, which was really good. I've always liked books with a lot of magic and kind of action, adventure, and mystery, and she had all that in there. It was really good.
Yeah.
And I just started yesterday reading a book called Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. I don't know if you've ever heard of her, but she writes a lot of young adult novels.
Okay.
I'm probably a good 10 years past being considered a young adult.
It's relative, right? Young compared to who?
Yeah, I mean, it is relative. I don't know, but I do enjoy them, and I like her books. She's got a lot of the magic and adventure and all that I've liked since I was little. Apparently, it doesn't change.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do think that there's a certain quality that magic stories have. C.S. Lewis liked to say a children's story that can only be enjoyed by children is not a good children's story at all.
Agreed. Yeah. C.S. Lewis. No, yeah, he's great.
Yeah. Oh, Narnia is fantastic.
Chronicles of Narnia. So
yeah,
those are ones that stick with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I'm pretty sure I'm named for Peter from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Or maybe the Peter in the Bible. Who knows?
That too, I guess.
So you're reading a sort of YA book right now. And I've seen you read pretty much everything from the City Limits Publishing catalog as it's been released. You left a very nice review of See Amid, and
I loved that book, Peter. I know this is supposed to be about me, but I just want to say that at Christmas is my favorite. Okay,
yeah.
I love Christmas since I was a kid. It's my favorite time of the year. I love the lights, the music, the decorations, all of it. But last year, I mean, with this pandemic, I was in such a funk. I just felt like everything good was canceled, and I don't know. I was not my same joyful Christmas self.
Yeah.
And I read your book, and it just made me smile. It was a fun story, and all the little Christmas Easter eggs. I don't know, a Christmas Easter egg.
Christmas Easter eggs.
Sure. Christmas eggs isn't a thing, so I don't know.
Who knows? We might have started something, Jamie.
Yeah. Um, but it made me smile when I needed to smile. So it was very enjoyable book. I liked it a lot.
That's very sweet. Yeah, I mean, I really appreciated your review of it, and I also noticed your reviews of Murder at Daybreak and a
Well,
couple other books there.
I figure we're all in this together,
Yeah,
and if we, one of us succeeds, there's a better chance of all of us succeeding. Plus, I mean, they're actually just good books. So
yeah. I mean, we publish a lot of books, but they're all pretty good.
yeah, well, so
Yeah,
far, But
yeah.
I also didn't really know when it first started. It was kind of like, well, I just kind of wonder what they're publishing. I know they're publishing
Mhm.
me, but what
Right.
are they
It's like,
publishing?
in what company am I with?
So
Yeah.
I started reading some of them, and I really enjoy them.
When we talk about people who are really helping us and just really are model citizens in our author community, we're like, oh yeah, Jamie Hitt. She
Wow.
she's always right on the ball with picking up the books as we publish them, and we really internally we do definitely appreciate your presence
Nice. Thank you.
on our social medias. So
Well,
keep doing what you're doing because it seems to be working.
I'm glad it's helpful.
Yeah, oh, definitely. A rising tide lifts all ships, right?
That's what I figure.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of your favorite books of all times? I mean, you mentioned Narnia.
I did, yeah. Um, I don't know if you ever, I don't know how, what kind of books you read as a kid, but some of my other really favorites were the Redwall series by Brian Jacques.
I've not heard of that.
Okay.
What is it?
It's, I mean, it's animals, okay? It's like, it sounds silly when you say it. It's animals instead of people, and they are, there's a lot of action and adventure, and they're fighting wars, and they're doing all but they're just very magical and amazing books that I loved when I was a kid. I devoured all of those.
Hmm.
And I I love Harry Potter. Who doesn't love Harry Potter?
Right.
No, but I am a big Harry Potter fan.
Yeah.
And
The Harry Potter books are fantastic. I know that J.K. Rowling has become a bit divisive
yeah,
in,
but hopefully, I mean, the books themselves
but the
are,
books themselves are fantastic.
yes, they are.
Yeah.
I was amazed, just like when I was reading through them, that something that happened in book one that you didn't really think was a big deal, all of a sudden in book six, it was like, whoa, that's like a big deal now, right? Just
Yeah.
the way you sort of weaved everything together was amazing. And I think that's something that I would love to emulate with my writing. I don't know that I'm that good, but not
Right.
many, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think Harry Potter is a great example of someone having a plan from the very beginning and
Yes.
implementing it, and
Very
us not
successful.
even being able to trace that until the very end and
Right.
looking back and seeing, oh, this was all building up to this. Wow.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
think about the diary in the second book
Yes.
being one of the Horcruxes.
Right. Exactly. You kind of don't think much of it, right? And then all of a
Mhm.
sudden, it's this big deal later. It is amazing. She created quite a world.
Definitely. Definitely. So what about, so we've mentioned some of these bigger books and bigger series. But what about some underrated books or authors? Like, are there some that you've really gotten into, maybe children's books that you've read to your kids, or books that have come from other areas of your life that you just think more people ought to know about?
Um, there was a young adult series that I read a few years back that actually made me want to write the young adult book that I wrote.
Really?
And it was called the Gemma Doyle trilogy. And the first book in it is called A Great and Terrible Beauty, which I think is a cool name also.
Mhm.
But like it was a really great trilogy, and it was historical fiction, but it also had magic in it, and it had adventure and some good old fashioned Victorian suppression of women, and that they were fighting against, obviously.
Right,
Um,
of course.
No, I'm not saying that that's a good thing. Um, in any case, it was really a great book. It was well written. I mean, a lot more well written than a lot of super popular YA books that I've read.
Uh-huh.
And and I never really quite understood why it wasn't like a bestseller. Maybe she sold a lot. I don't know, but it's by an author named Libba Bray, and really great books.
Cool.
And I never heard them like at the top of any YA list or anything like that. But
Interesting.
maybe want to write one, and I didn't do as good of a job as she did. But
hey, don't sell yourself short. We haven't read it yet.
Ready. And I don't know if they ever will.
Well, I think now's as good a time as any to move into our next segment, Writing Away. So you have a new book that is coming out in just a couple weeks. We are actually back-to-back release week buddies.
Yeah.
With Abandon All Hope at the end of March, and The Things Friendship Brings coming out on April 8th.
6th.
April 6th.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I think I said that wrong at the beginning.
You did, but I figured I'd correct you eventually.
Great. April 6th. I heard you say April 6th, and I pushed 8. So
I mean, you can still buy it on April 8th. I don't mind.
You still can. That's very true.
Yeah, it's okay.
So for the listener at home, The Things Friendship Brings will be releasing on Tuesday, April 6th.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the book.
Okay, well, it's a book about a little toad. He's out on a grand adventure in the big wide world, and he comes across a variety of animals: a bird, a duck, and a cow, and a sheep. And he realizes while he's out hopping around that he wants to make friends with these other animals, but they don't speak the same language, right? They tweet and they quack and they baa and they moo, but he doesn't know how to talk to them. And so he's trying to figure out, how does he make friends in a world where he's different from the people that he wants to make friends with. Mm-hmm. And the story was actually inspired by my daughter, who is neurodiverse, what you would call it.
Okay.
And she's incredible. I mean, she is so creative.
The writer, right?
Yeah, she's my little writer. She has got more creativity in her little pinky finger than I've ever had. And she's amazing, but she has trouble making friends, right? I remember very distinctly this time at the park. She was trying to play with some other kids, and she had concocted this amazing thing in her mind that she wanted to play, right? It was almost like staging a play. She was, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and we're all going to say this and that. And they're like 5 or 6 at the time, and the other kids are like, yeah, I'm just going to go play on the swings.
Yeah.
You know, it was amazing and heartbreaking all at the same time to watch, because she's unbelievably amazing, but she has trouble sort of talking to peers on the same level, you know? And so she asked me one day, how come I can't talk to other kids the same way everyone else can? And that sort of inspired me to write it, because it's almost like speaking a different language, sort of. You have to figure out other ways to reach out and connect with people. And I like that it works on the neurodiverse level, but it also works on just, culturally and language diversity as well, which is obviously important in this world that we live in, where everybody's really divided.
Yeah.
And to me, I just think it's important to know that, I talk to my kids a lot about diversity, and how if everything in the world tasted the same and was the same color and felt the same way and sounded the same way, it would be really boring, right?
Yeah.
But so diversity makes the world more beautiful and more interesting, but it can also mean things can be a little more challenging for us sometimes, like sometimes you have to work a little harder to maybe make connections with people, or get along with people.
Yeah, I think that resonates on a lot of different levels. I mean, I think most kids have had an experience in their life where they have felt on the outs, or if
Mhm.
it hasn't happened in childhood, it will happen in adulthood. So I think, yeah, I think your book will reach a lot of people
I hope
if
so.
it's talking about those themes and illustrating them in a way that a kid can understand and follow. Yeah. So I think that's really cool. Um, do you have like a favorite illustration you made in the book?
Mm. Um, I don't know specifically. I think I really like one where he gets back home to his mom and he's having a conversation with his mom,
Mm-hmm.
kind of nuzzling noses, and they have their eyes closed. I always just thought that was kind of a cute little moment with his mom. But
Yeah,
maybe that's the mama in me.
probably. Write
Oh,
what you know, right?
that's right.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so this this was not your first children's book that you had written, was it?
Um, no, I mean, it's probably the first picture book that I ever wrote.
Hmm.
But I have written other things with my daughter. She and I have written some children's chapter books together.
Yeah,
Um, and then on my own, I also wrote the young adult novel that I mentioned earlier.
sure,
We'll get to
sure.
that later when we talk about things that I do wrong.
Things that you do wrong. Well, I don't know. I don't know if we're ready to go there yet,
Oh,
right
we're
now.
not. We'll get there.
But yeah, just a preview of things to come.
Right.
The this is your first publication though, right?
Yes.
That's
100%.
exciting.
I know, it's really exciting.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of shocked by it. And
Mhm.
even after I signed the contract, I kept thinking, like, they're going to come back and tell me this was all some kind of a mistake somehow.
It was an elaborate practical joke.
Oh, maybe this was some other Jamie Hitt out there in the world that got confused with me or something.
So there's a Jim Hit signed with us.
I
Is there any
actually thought,
relation?
no, there's not. And you know what? I saw it on the website and I even thought, like, that guy looks like he could even be my dad or something.
I mean, I just assumed because I mean, my dad is signed with City Limits Publishing, so
Which is exciting news.
yeah.
But no, I saw him right above my picture on the website, and I thought, wow, James Hitt, like that's what are the odds of that we both found City Limits Publishing, and there's no relation at all.
I've been meaning to ask about that, and I'm glad I finally asked you.
Yeah, no, there's not. It's funny. I did notice that.
Yeah, similar names. You
Yeah,
look kind of similar. Same last name.
like he looked like he could be my dad. So
Yeah,
weird. Although my last name is my husband's last name, so
right. That's true. So
yeah.
may, maybe it was a father-in-law situation, but no relation. That's kind of cool.
It's funny.
Yeah. So what was the process like for you submitting into City Limits Publishing and anywhere else that you submitted?
Yeah, well, I had submitted it some places before, and you find a lot of people that just don't respond, which is a little bit soul crushing. I mean, rejections are bad, but like the just
Hmm.
not responding is kind of, I don't know, a little worse, I think. But when I submitted to City Limits, I sent it in. And when you're sending like a picture book manuscript, you can just send the whole thing in because
Right.
like
Because
you have to
it's
read a few chapters.
30-ish pages. Yeah.
Right. And so I sent it in, and within like a couple of days, they got back to me and said they were interested in it. And I thought, wait, like for real?
Hmm.
You're not, are you sure? And I mean, it was all pretty smooth. I had some questions, I had some concerns, and I talked about all of it. And I mean, I feel like they were pretty open about everything. And it just seemed like it happened fast after that. And I
Yeah.
don't know, very exciting.
Did you find City Limits through PitMad or
I
through?
did actually, yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like they didn't even like my pitch until like 10 o'clock at night, which I mean, that's my time too. I think their time
Yeah.
is probably after midnight, right?
Probably
Like
1
I had
a.m.
gone through the
Yeah.
day thinking nothing happened. And then like at 10 o'clock at night, I saw this like, and I was like, what? Who's City Limits Publishing?
Yeah.
And then it just that's pretty amazing. just amazing. I don't even know what it was that made them like it or not, but it's kind of interesting just finding the right person at the right time, and it all
Yeah.
just comes together.
It's a lot like falling in love, right?
Yes, yeah.
Sometimes the right person just comes along when you don't even know you're looking.
I've heard it said a lot of times though that like you don't need a lot of yeses, you just need the one.
Right.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So what's next for you? Are you working on a new manuscript or polishing old ones, or what's going on?
Doing a lot of things actually. I actually wrote a sequel to The Things Friendship Brings, called The Things Nighttime Brings, about
Okay.
Thomas trying to overcome his fear of the dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I just finished illustrating it, and I'm hoping that maybe it will get published. I don't know.
I think there's a publisher who might be interested.
I hope I hope so. Um,
Potentially.
Potentially. I also have a couple other picture book ideas. I have another one written that's completely unrelated to Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and my daughter and I are writing a middle grade fiction book together, which I
Oh
think is
wow.
it's super fun to write with her.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's really good. I think I've always thought I was a really good writer, but maybe missing a little bit in the storytelling department.
Mm-hmm.
And she got the storytelling department down pat.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's amazing writing with her, and I think it's really good. Takes place on a magical island outside of Greece, and there's all kinds of things that happen. So
Like Greek mythology-ish, or
yeah, a little bit of that, and it's a little bit reminds me of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe a little bit, where these kids
oh
find themselves in this magical island, and
yeah.
yeah, it's pretty good, I
Huh.
think.
Well, I will be looking forward to reading that when that gets published someday.
Someday, I hope it'll be
Or
pretty
maybe beta reading it. I don't know. We'll see.
cool when it's done. Part of it, though, is that she is very creative, but she's got so many ideas that
Hmm.
finishing them is sometimes a challenge. So we're
Right.
working on, let's try to see if we can finish one idea before we go to the next. And so it's kind of a process getting through it, but it's pretty fun. I think she likes it too, because I mean she's learning a lot about she knows how to tell stories, but we're working on sentence structure while we're doing it, and it's like
Hmm.
part of our homeschool, right? She's
Yeah,
homeschooled.
it sounds like really prime homeschool material.
Yeah, it really
Or
is. So we're working on how to use sentence tags. You don't want to just say he said and she said all the time, and how to show and not just tell. And so it's
yeah.
really been a good academic experience for her, and also we're writing a pretty cool book.
Hmm. Man, I should sit in on that. I'm working on my first prose piece, and it's been a very long time since anyone has made me write in prose. And right now I'm making myself write in prose. And yeah, just I can't always say he said or she said. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
it's a learning experience for both of us, I think, which is cool.
definitely. Oh, cool. So anything else you want to say about your own work before we move into where things have gone wrong?
No, I think that probably covers it.
Great. Cool. All right. So that brings us to our final segment, all the wrongs. Let's
Mm,
get candid. So we can go one of two directions. So we can talk about other people or we can talk about yourself.
Why not both?
Sure, sure. We can do a little bit of both.
All right. So I want to start had something thought out that I wanted to say first.
Great. Go for it.
All right.
Unprompted.
I don't want to specifically talk about like specific authors or books that just didn't sit well with me, because
Sure.
I feel like everybody puts their whole heart and soul into everything they write, and
Yeah.
just not for me doesn't mean I'm gonna, I don't need to talk about that. But I did want to say about just the children's publishing world in general, a couple things that I have issues with.
Hmm.
Uh, like we talked about before, that most of the things I had written before this were a little longer. They weren't specifically picture books, right? So
Hmm.
I wrote this picture book and I thought, okay, well, what am I going to do with it now? You know, how do you go about publishing it? Because I mean, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. And I looked online and there's so many rules for children's books, right? You've got,
Yeah.
it's got to be 500 words and it's got to be 32 pages and it's got to, the main character has to address their, you know, their problem 3 times before they solve it. And I mean, it's just like all these rules.
Really?
And yes, I mean, it's like they have like this structure you need to follow.
Huh.
And I thought, I mean, so you want me to come up with a unique book that follows your exact formula?
That's a recipe for disaster.
And then I started thinking about it. And I thought about all like the most popular, like award-winning children's books I could think of, and they don't all follow that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm in this picture book like critique group with some other friends that I've met on Twitter, and we all kind of critique each other's work. And I see
Hmm.
all the time where they're like, "Oh, that's a little long. You need to get it to under 500 words."
Hmm.
And I saw when I was submitting it to other publishers, there was one that said you couldn't even submit it if it was over 500 words.
Really?
I mean, why? I mean, I'm looking at my 642 word book and I'm thinking like, what would I even cut? I mean, it's rhyming, right? And I've got
Yeah.
this strict structure of rhythm and
Hmm.
meter. And so I just have to chop out like 3 stanzas and then what would even be left, right?
Yeah.
And then I started thinking, I mean, let me give you an example. I'm sure you've read or heard of the book, The Pokey Little Puppy.
Yes, I've heard of it. I don't think I've read it or read it recently.
It's one of the most popular children's books of all
Hmm.
time for like the last 80 years. It's
Okay.
1,160 some words,
Jeez.
right? I mean, and it's a picture book. And I can sit with my 3-year-old who is very active, let me just tell
Yeah.
you, and he'll listen to all the words. I mean, he'll sit there and listen to 1,100 words.
Hmm.
And I think like, I mean, maybe kids are able to handle a little bit more than
The
500.
publishing world is
Yeah,
interested.
maybe. I mean, I don't know. I just think like, you know, there's something for everybody there, right?
Yeah.
And younger kids obviously need shorter books, but I mean, some older kids still like picture books. And if they have more words, I don't really see what the problem is with that. And then there was another rule that came to me I heard a couple times that really, I don't know, irked me. And it said that
Yeah.
your main character has to solve their own problem by themselves without help from anybody. And I think,
Okay.
okay, in an adult book, sure, I don't really want to read a novel where like the main character isn't the one figuring out how to solve the problem, right? I mean, that's
Hmm.
pretty typical. Even a young adult and probably even middle grade fiction, that's probably true. But like in picture books, you're talking about kids that are probably 3 to 7 or 8. Um, I don't really want to teach my kids that they have to solve all their problems all on their own without any help from anybody, right?
Yeah. I
I
think
mean,
that's a dangerous lesson to teach.
I think so too. And I think like, I mean, obviously the goal of parenting is to raise your kids to be independent and to be able
Hmm.
to solve their own problems and make good choices, hopefully.
Yeah.
But they don't come out of the womb doing that, right? I mean,
No.
I don't really want my 6-year-old thinking he's got to solve all his own problems. I mean, that's dangerous, right? And so I just think like, oh, I remember very distinctly with my 6-year-old, we were watching a television show, a kids show, and
Hmm.
he said to me, "Mom, why are the grown-ups in this show so dumb?" I laughed. I mean, it's hard not
Yeah.
to laugh at that, but it's really like you think about in shows and in books for these little kids, the parents are either not around or
Hmm.
they're like bumbling idiots who can't figure out what to do. So the kids are just on their own, right?
Yeah.
I think sometimes there's obviously some really good books where the kids are out on their own trying to figure things out, you know, but I think sometimes it's okay for kids to know that their parents are there
Yeah.
and can give them guidance and teach them things. I don't know. Maybe that's just the mom in me again, though. But
No, but I do think that you bring up a very real point that there's media for children that paints adults as not knowing anything or being not present or bumbling fools or what have you. It's teaching them it's teaching them the lesson that they should rely on themselves when they don't have the capacity or the life experience. They don't have the life experience to really go in and
or the
operate with a full deck of cards.
they don't have the brain development either.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just something that kind of struck me as odd that that's like a rule that anybody should have to follow.
Yeah, and that's a rule from publishing houses? Really?
I mean, I don't. It's something that I was told a couple of times, but I don't know that if I don't know whose rule that is, but a
Yeah.
couple of agents and things like that.
Like yeah, I can understand rules like publishing houses that want to show progress and show female empowerment, like
Sure.
not make your girl characters be rescued.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that's a rule I can completely understand and get behind, and or you must have racial diversity or whatever. Like those are rules I get, but like the rules of word count and blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't know. I think each book is its own beast, you know?
I do. I mean, and I think honestly, the ones that are the best don't follow all those rules, right? I
Right.
mean, I don't know.
Like I think it's important to know rules so that you know how to break them well.
That's true.
Yeah.
That yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's interesting. So where is somewhere where you feel you have your work has gone wrong and you've recovered from it, or just something that came up in the process of writing that you were like, wow, I could have done that better. I should have done that better. I will do that better. That
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Well, part of it is that I think I have a little bit of a lack of confidence in my writing.
Hmm.
I don't know if this is typical. I always wonder, like, I've got this imposter syndrome going, and I wonder, like, did Stephen King have that? I don't know. I always
Yeah.
wonder, right? But
I don't know. I don't know him.
yeah, no, I don't either. I'd like to ask him, but I so I wrote a novel. I wrote a whole. I mean, it's a whole novel, right? It's like
Yeah.
70,000 words. It's just sitting on my computer. And my husband thinks I'm crazy because he says not many people actually finish a novel, and you finished a novel and you're not doing anything with it, right?
Hmm.
And I think, well, I mean, I'm just not sure it's good enough, right? Like I feel like I read it and I don't feel like, yes, this is it. But I worked on it for a really long time. I mean, I spent years writing this. And I
Hmm.
got to the point where I kept revising it and I kept looking at it and I kept changing things and I kept doing this and that. And I finally got sick of looking at it and I
Yeah.
just threw it away. And I think maybe someday I'll go back to it. But like, is that I can't ever tell. Is like, am I just not is it not good enough, or is it me that I
Hmm.
just feel like I don't know.
I
I
I don't think you're alone in that. I mean, imposter syndrome is very real and it's sort of an epidemic, you know, among writers. Because I feel like the way that we read books, we're often removed from the author and we don't know them as human beings. And us with our complicated experience of being a human being, because all human beings are complicated,
yeah.
we look at our work and we finish what we've done and we're like, well, I know all the mess that was behind this,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
and I have to wonder if some of the more famous writers like Stephen King or Suzanne Collins or J.K. Rowling um, would say the same thing at some point in their career.
Yeah, I don't know. It would
Yeah.
be helpful if they did feel that way, if they said it, because I see a lot. I mean, I don't know, because I'm in the writing community on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
And A lot of it, like it's so many of these writers, and then you don't know, like, am I not good enough? Am I just like, is it all in my head?
Hmm.
There's also so much rejection in this industry, so it's
Yeah.
hard to, you have to have a thick skin, and if you don't have a
Hmm.
thick skin, then it's like demoralizing, right?
Yeah.
And so you're like, do I really want to put this out into the world if I'm not like 100% convinced that it's awesome, right?
Hmm.
Because if I put it out there and it gets torn to shreds, what's that going to do to me,
To your relationship with yourself and your
Right,
relationship with the
right.
work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. I was actually just having a conversation with this about this sort of
Mhm.
thing with my mentor, because I just received a rejection letter well after I had signed with City Limits Publishing for my book Abandon All Hope. Another outlet had finally gotten back to me and said no, and I was just sitting here, and I mean, I didn't. It wasn't a lasting feeling, but it was a momentary sting. Like, oh, why did that not land with you?
Right. Even though
And
someone else did want to publish it, right? It still things that there's someone who didn't.
right, and it's not about getting a quantity of yeses. It's,
Yeah.
it's about getting one. It's
Get
about
it.
finding the opportunities and running with them.
You got your one. But yeah, it still stings.
Yeah,
Because you
yeah.
put everything you have into what you write, right? And then
Hmm.
you want it to resonate with everyone. But it's
Yeah,
never gonna resonate with everyone.
right. And I think the sooner we realize that, and the sooner that we're honest with ourselves, that like, I think this is good.
Hmm.
Not everyone will, but I'm confident someone might.
Yeah. That's
That's the sort of mentality that we have to adopt, you know?
right.
So
I just wonder if there's any level ever that I would get to of success where that all went away. Like I just I don't know.
I don't know. Because like as my career has been starting to take shape, and I mean I'm 25 years old. I've got a long life ahead of me, God willing. But as like I recently redid my website, and that gave me more imposter syndrome than anything else recently. As like, because my older website felt more like me in my day-to-day life, but this
Sorry.
new website is like, oh, this is someone who's having success. This is the website of somebody who knows that he is a very successful writer. And I'm like,
I can
huh,
see that.
am I there? Am I there now?
And I guess if you pretend it, then you are it, right? I don't know.
I guess so. I don't know.
Keep
So
pretending until you get there. I don't know.
yeah, fake it till you make it. Is
Oh,
that
wait, you
what?
are successful.
Yeah. No, I
I'm
mean,
you're
I
on.
am. I'm 25 years old with 2 books out.
Yeah, I
Like,
did not say that at 25 either. So
right.
pretty impressive.
So I don't know. It's a lifelong journey. I think just our relationship with success and ever
Elves.
getting there,
Yeah,
wherever there is. I don't know.
true.
Well, Jamie, it has been great talking to you and getting to know you through this. Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners today?
Um,
Where can people find you on social media?
well, you can find me under Hit Family Stories on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter.
Yeah.
Uh, and I don't know, April 6th,
April
the day.
6th. April
April 6th.
6th.
I'm really excited for everyone to read it. I hope it resonates. I hope people like it.
Yeah,
I hope like Thomas.
I think so. I think not everyone not everyone will like it, but I'm
Everyone.
pretty confident someone will.
I hope so. If I can get myself to that mindset, I think I'll be all right.
Yeah, definitely. So, for the listener at home, you can order your copy of The Things Friendship Brings anywhere that books are sold online. So, we've got directly through City Limits Publishing. We have distribution on Amazon.com and through Barnes and Noble. So, if you visit one of those things and look up The Things Friendship Brings by Jamie Hitt, should be able to find your copy and get it ordered.
All
Jamie,
right.
thank you so much. Thank you all for listening. I'm Peter Fenton, and this is Read, Right, and Wrong. What are you still doing listening to this episode? Hit pause, head over to citylimitspublishing.com, and find your next book. I'm your host, Peter Fenton. You can find me online at bypeterfenton.com or follow me on Twitter and Instagram at peterfent. Have a great day, everyone.